Testing. Okay, wait. How about this? Can you guys hear me now? Hello, hello. Let me know if you can hear me. Did you try restarting it? Can you guys hear me? Okay, it's working. Yes, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so my computer actually went down over the weekend. I usually leave it up on sleep mode, and I guess a whole bunch of things got reset. So sorry about that. Okay, I'll have to cut that out, I guess, the early part of the video. So I was explaining that I was talking to myself for a while. So I was just explaining that obviously none of this is financial advice. It's just some guy talking about stuff on a stock on the internet. But I was going to say my wife was saying I needed to, be present this weekend. So I was trying to be present with my family and not be on my phone the entire time. And it was good. We had a great weekend, and, it was raining most of the time, but I was going to say today there was actually a break in the rain. So pretty happy about that. That was good stuff. So let's pull up some things right now. And let's see. Yeah, I had to basically go into my settings and actually adjust the microphone. So hopefully you guys can hear it. Yeah, so I know a bunch of people want to talk about Reg Sho. A bunch of people want to talk about this options chains. Everyone wants to kind of know what's going on for this week, so we can kind of dive into those things. I've got probably about an hour and some change tonight to do it, so I am tired, but that's fine. I don't mind catching up right now and trying to figure out what's going on. It'll just help me out for tomorrow morning when I really dive into everything at work. That's usually when I get very caught up, when I can go through every single thing. We started going through and trying to, calculate ownership, all that kind of stuff. All right. So let's take a look at what's going on here. So we still are pretty high up on the score. Now, I think everyone kind of noticed that there were some shares available at the end of the day on Friday, and those probably came because institutions have been buying, and when they buy them, they basically lend out shares. And, it could be actually some people closing because the stock price, they did move around. So let's take a look at let's look at the 5-minute real quick. So we're still in the loading zone. All right, so this was, I guess, Friday right here. So they did look like they covered a small portion here, and then obviously they just pushed it down. They didn't get it under 3, though, and I think they wanted to finish under 3. That was kind of like their goal. So there were some that went in the money. Let's take a look. See how many went in the money. So hopefully everyone had a great weekend. Yeah, and talk about Renaissance and Renaissance. Yeah, I mean, so anyone that doesn't know, Renaissance is a very successful hedge fund, and they typically don't make a lot of mistakes. Anyone that knows what's interesting is they're private, and so you have to have a huge amount of money to even get invest with them, but they're one of the more successful ones. They're bigger than Citadel, they're bigger than Susquehanna, they're a major player, because they basically only take people the ultra rich. But interesting enough, they had invested in GameStop and AMC before those two ran up. So they got some smart people that work for them, and they do like making money. So they'll play it safe. They won't be in it to be but having them long, or at least owning shares long, is a good thing. You can't construe a smart, a smart institution going long on this company as a bad thing. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the Luna dumpster fire, Tom, but, you know, I think I told people, you know, crypto, I have some normal like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Loopring, some, I think it's like IMAX or something like that, and a couple other like smaller ones like DOT and Tron, and, you know, but like I put very, very small amounts in them, and, you know, compared to my equities. So I don't typically invest in meme coins or whatever. There has to be something backing it, and I know there was stuff quote unquote backing it before, but I think everyone saw what happened. So porn bots are on early. Yeah, well, it's Sunday, you know. I got to do something, right? All right, so let me see if I can log in real quick to TD, pull up some options chains. That wants my password. Hold on. I gotta enter a security code. So here we go. You can be trusted. I'm at home. All right, so we'll take one of the things and take a look at the Aterian options chain. All right, so they only have, I'll have to go and look back at a historical to see how it finished on Friday. But for this week, we can at least pull up that and take a look at it, break it down. And, you know, obviously everyone knows that there's large amounts of open interest right now at many different price targets. So just reading through. So yeah, the increase in ownership is a good thing. It means that like institutions are starting to come around, and, you know, what they'll do though is they'll acquire. So their goal has been to acquire while the stock is down. They want to. Some of them will average down. Some of them are entering for the first time. So, you know, they'd love to when they're starting to accumulate shares long. They want the stock to be as low as they can. Now, I did find this interesting, and I don't quite know how to make out, because normally these are broken down. Is that because it's done in... I don't know what. When did they change this? They must have just done this, because I don't remember the inflow being represented like this. But I can tell you that there was some buying pressure despite the actual price target, or sorry, the share price. I was watching the like level 2s, and, you know, I downloaded like the MBBO, so I was watching those, and it seemed like there was more stuff flowing into the stock than out, despite, you know, us finishing. I mean, we finished 5% up, but I mean, it looked like there was more buying. Here's the thing: when they have periods of low volume, they can knock this down, and so on low volume, they basically can control the price, because all they do is whack the bid, and so they can, you know, form these down channels, and they can just kind of bleed it off, you know. So just remember, price is easily controlled, especially on a like small cap like this. Both longs and shorts have the ability to just put the price wherever they feel like it. But you have to remember, longs are more patient in this. They are looking at this as a big picture. So for them, they want to enter as low as possible, and they don't want to spend as much possible. Like, they don't think like retail. Like, they don't act like retail. So like, for them, buying down here is perfect. And then we just ran up, and then we've ran back down, and now we're back in this loading zone, and this is where they're going to accumulate. So the question is, how much are they going to accumulate before the 20th happens, and what's going to happen, because obviously they have the ability, the longs, at least the long bulls, they have the ability to just slap the ass and start raising the price. And the shorts, I'll be honest with you, shorting under $3, like in the low threes, is still pretty risky for the fact that Aterian right now, if you look at their balance sheet, they're okay. Like, they're not going out of business. So, at what point do you just go, I've made a lot of money on this stock, it's probably time to let this go, and then we can reshort it down if we want to. Like, if you actually look, like, you can see there was, some buying pressure on Friday. You can already see, like, if you look at the stochastic, like, it's already crossing over. It's already completely, like, oversold. The MACD is going to start curling up. It may be like midweek before we actually get a movement up and crossing over. But, I could see there being some volume starting to come this week because of the options chains, But longs are typically more patient than, retail. Retail, if you don't fly to the moon straight away, then you've got people that waver in this area. And then, if the stock's going down, they waver again. And, even though we had like a reversal and then a push up, it will take it going back into this range before people go, oh, yeah, maybe this is it. And then they buy back in. So, once again, obviously shares are obviously the safest, and that's not financial advice. That's just general market knowledge. If you are playing options, the only reason why, I've heard a bunch of people being like, well, that's not how a gamma ramp works. Like, listen, I understand how a gamma ramp works. You have a ton of open interest that's higher than us right now. My only point had been, if you're buying deep in the money options, if it doesn't work out, those convert into shares. And so at that point, you're at least still pretty safe. You're basically just averaging down. You paid a little bit of premium on it, but for the most part, those are now shares. People keep being like, well, you need options to, I understand how it works. You need the money options to keep the thing going. But at the same time, if you don't have somebody that actually is going to push you onto here, because I think I saw somebody was saying like, oh, they wanted to go out and buy a bunch of $1 calls for this week. And like, pay out $200 for each contract. It's still a little pricey, but like, technically what would happen is, they would still have to account for those at some point. So, if this all of a sudden had, I don't know, like a couple hundred or 1,000, like maybe 1,500 open interest all of a sudden, I would imagine they would have to start then, pushing up the price slightly to kind of start, thinking about, okay, well, if the retail is going to hold through the end of the week and actually deliver these, we better actually have those $1 calls. So, I mean, you can already see they've got a decent amount of open interest right here at 1,600. Oh wait, I don't have this up on. I'm like talking to you guys about this, and I don't actually have it up. Hold on, let me screenshot it for you. Sorry about that. You can tell I'm tired. All right. Yeah, my kids, they wake up early. My son woke me up at 5:30 this morning. He was like, out. I'm like, oh, man. Go back to sleep, dude. And then, of course, he takes a huge, long nap, and then he's, like, wired tonight when I'm putting him to bed. And I'm like, tell my wife, I was like, we shouldn't have let him sleep that long. All right, so let's bring this over. We can kind of go over it. Sorry about that. Okay. Here we go. So, getting back into this. Here, we'll minimize that. All right. So I'm going to try to catch up. I'm sorry if I'm missing some of your earlier comments, but I'm just going to go ahead and skip to the now, and then we can kind of talk live. All right. So let's bring some colors into it for fun because, oops. We don't have a ton of people in here, and that's fine. Here we go. Oh, you know what I should have done? I've totally... Yeah, and Renaissance held through 20 to 6. I think they're still holding. All right, so you guys are talking about, let's see, there's literally 104 contracts between 1 and 2. Yeah, that's not many, to be honest with you. The market maker would be surprised if that all of a sudden became 100K at the end of the week and had to hedge 10. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If this all of a sudden got, here's the thing, like they can drop it below 250, right? I want to make sure people are clear on that. Like they have the ability to drop it down lower. Like if we get like hammered in the market again, they can drop it down and even get it probably below 2. I mean, obviously retail would be able to afford a ton of things, but like to me, down here seems safer if you're really committed to like, this idea of like, being safe deep in the money. Because I think if you're buying these like 250s, which they're great, like honestly, like, that's great. But, there is a possibility that if the market tanks next week and they completely hammer this down before they cover, you could be seeing prices down here, and then all of a sudden all this stuff's out of the money, like all of it. So that would be very surprising, though, if there was a lot of like $1 calls or like some 150 or but like something that's like what would be considered much safer. All right, yeah, but you're right that it's all AI driven, so. All right, so what we're doing, I'm grabbing right now some colors and we'll show you this week. So right now we're going to, keep that purple. Let's make this green. Green for in the money. I like that better. I've been doing yellow for a long time, but we can do some green in the money. Now you have to remember, like, how much of their stuff is in the money also, right? At this point right now, they have a good amount of open interest that's already in the money, right? That's, you can see, like, they even bought 22s up there. That would be very, very deep in the money. So, and then let's do red for burned. Obviously, nothing's burned yet, but this would be, at this point right now, all the premiums that would be burned if things finished at this level right now. So this is what we're looking at. Obviously, would love to see more, down here, because I think that would help at least push it onto this, ramp, because, this is fine, but at the same time, like, the biggest draw is the $5. Like, that's a lot of shares they would actually have to like hedge for if this goes over $5. So, like, down here, this is all like what, like 500. And this is, there could be, I think we looked and there was a decent amount of like mixed calls. Like, it's not all bullish. Like, there are some like covered calls that are sold in this range. There are, obviously some bullish puts also, which are, obviously that's a good sign. But, it's a mixed bag in here right now. So you can't assume every single one of these calls is actually a bullish call, because there are people who sold calls, which are considered bearish. And, just people basically selling covered calls, market makers doing all these things, that's fine. All right, so DZ said there could be a shock to the system, maybe short circuit the algos to start Aterian into independent patterns that don't follow the memes anymore. Yeah, so I haven't gone through in detail all his DD, to be honest with you. I like caught up, like I started reading it, and then my wife caught me on the phone and said that I need to be present. So I need to kind of go over that. Maybe I can do that now. Let's take a look and see. All right, let's go to Reddit. get a chance. But yeah, I was going to say DZ does a great job with just giving you the information. Like, he's just giving you data, plain and simple. It's well written. He's a smart guy. So glad he's on our side. All right. So he was talking about trading algorithms. Your thing, you said he somehow, was it short circuited? Let's see if I can type in that and see. I don't see anything that says circuit in there, so maybe let's see if I can catch what he says. Yeah, I'm not seeing what you're talking about as far as... Chris, tell me what part you're talking about specifically, like what section. He labeled them out nicely in different sections. What I saw in number one, basically, he was saying that, like, we're trading right now with everything else that's retail favorites, like AMC, BBIG, GME, Clover, SoFi, like probably BBBY, those types, like cost, KOSS, I would imagine. We're probably trading with all those. We're all basically in this like meme stock basket that we're just getting like pushed around the same. That's why our charts all look very similar. Yeah. Now, once again, I don't know what he's talking about with the breaking that cycle. Obviously, we're fighting against an algo. The algo wants these things at zero. That's the goal for them. That doesn't happen always, but they're obviously able to like push the price around. So, did I get demonetized? I don't know. Did I? I haven't looked all weekend. Let me see. Oh, you know what? Let's try this. Let's see. Let's see if that works. I think I actually have to go in and monetize it. Like, I just select monetize. Tell me if that does anything different. So, okay. So, yeah, I just I clicked on monetize. I don't know if that makes a difference, but when do we get back to $10 plus? Okay. So, I guess it's not off. All right. So let's go back and try to figure out where we got this going. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to basically get with a couple guys have I guess what's it called, unusual whales, and they've been watching the order flow. So I've got to go through and get with them and do it. I don't have them right now. I'll probably end up getting them. There's going to be a bunch of tools. I'm just going to use any money that's coming in to just buy, so we have more information. So that's where most of the money at this point right now is. I mean, I don't make a ton of money off of YouTube. Just, you know, that's right now not, you know, I didn't know how much you would make off of YouTube, and I like went into like one of those analytic things. So they kind of like show you just so. I think when I clicked on that, they broke it down that like, where is, so I'll earn like $100 from I guess ads, and then yeah, that's it. So like nicely you guys have given me super chats, but like that's where the majority of the money is came from. Like from like YouTube ads, you don't get very much, or at least I don't because I'm small. So you know, but I'm growing, so that's totally fine. And honestly, I never meant to be a YouTube person. Like that was never the goal. I fought it for a while. I kept getting people telling me that they wanted to at least have somebody, you know, who wasn't a day trader that was just gonna, you know, skip over what, you know, what was Aterian's all about, which is, you know, there's more going on here than just, you know, oh, it will rip up for 20% and then you take your profits and go. Like there's something deeper going on here, at least in my opinion, and that's why I started doing the YouTube, was because it felt like when I watched the last run up go, and then I watched this company just get bled off, like something wasn't sitting right, and it wasn't like this was an earnings beat. The stock went up from like, what was it, like $4 a share to like $8 that next day, and it just got slammed down. I'm like, they actually beat on earnings, like it was fine, but this was right around the same time that they were, you know, accusing people of naked shorting, and the stock got hammered. And since then, you know, it's gotten hammered without, like, I mean, we had days and days and days that we didn't have a green day. Like it was like weeks would go by, like 2-3 weeks, and we wouldn't have a single green day. I know they show green in here, but this is like the what's it called, Japanese candlesticks. So, but yeah, it was a rough period. And so once I started noticing, like once we fell below book value, I was like, okay, that's, you know, that's weird, but you know, I get it. Shorts are going to, you know, do what they do, but then they fell below current asset values, and that's when I was like, okay, something's not right here. Like at this point, if you liquidated, you would have more money than what this company's worth on the market cap. So anyway, that's what I did. So my cost basis right now, let me check and see if I can pull it up. I am in the, I think, high fours right now, but that's came down a little bit. It's like 467. So I'm still down a bit, but you know, I've been averaging down when I can. You know, any extra money I'm trying to put back into this, so just lock up shares as I can. Okay, somebody's gonna give me the. Hold on, let me open Discord real quick. Oh, thank you. Let's take a look at some of these. All right, let's see if we can see this. All right, let me see if I can do it this way. Maybe I will go ahead and save these and then bring them over, because that's probably a better way of doing it. Here, let's try it this way. Okay. So now, I don't have unusual whales, but I'm just going to assume that green is bullish. So obviously, there's a high concentration of 750s. That's a lot of open interest there. That's, you know, looks like that's still more bullish than bearish on the 350s. The 4s are all pretty much bullish. The 5s are mainly bullish, and that's a good amount of open interest there, because that's, if you look, that's at like 2.1, or let's say that's more like 18, like 1.8 1.8 million shares. I'm just going off of the bearish side too, so maybe like 1.7, 1.8, if that was to go in the money at, at 5. So, I mean, you can look and see these. Those are the most active chains. Chains with the highest open interest are the 750s. Okay, so I'm learning this on the fly with you guys. So it looks like there were a good amount of $2 calls, it looks like. Yeah, $2 calls. Somebody spent about 24,000 on those. I'm guessing because that's the premium right here. So that's a good chunk right there. Somebody else bought some $3 puts, but those were expired last week. So that was probably to try to get the price under $3, and they didn't get that. Yeah, so there's part of it. And let's see. If we go open this. So here's your highest concentration is these 750s. And then right here, these 5s that's a good amount of shares there too. And so what we'll see is this start building, some of these start building, especially down near the money ones, and naturally, just because retail is retail, they'll start building these up too, is my guess. And then you've got a pretty nice thing. Now what will need to happen is eventually, I don't know how they're going to play this. Some institutions may let the price sit around on Monday, and then what they'll try to do is they'll try to probably stack up some of these like in betweens, and then if they really are going to like sit on the stock, what they'll do is they'll start like buying the near the money ones once they get these really cheap. The goal might be not to do anything really until Wednesday, but we'll see. I mean, we could immediately have some people joining in the fund and starting to, because they're going to look at this option chain and be like, well, it's getting there to be pretty nice, because if you all of a sudden started filling in these pretty cheaply, you could potentially you could run it to like 10, even 12 without much resistance at this point right now, because if you look on the put side, if this really gets stacked up, then it's not going to go. And I know some people sold some like $10 calls that were bullish, so that's pretty interesting also. Let's see what this one does. I guess this is a better view of it. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, the options chains look pretty bullish. I mean, obviously those at 6. So it looks like a lot of people sold maybe covered calls at 6 for this week. That's possible. 6 and maybe 650 and 7. So I don't know if that's retail. I don't know who's selling those calls, but obviously if you're selling calls, that's a bearish thing. So you can see like this one obviously has more than the others. So, and the other one was these 3s. At least that's how I'm guessing they're reading these things. But yeah, I don't have unusual whales yet, so I haven't like read through how to like read them. But that would just be my guess. Sorry for having to guess, but the flow shows bearish versus not OI, by the way. Okay, thank you, Fish, for including that. All right, David asked, I have faith that we will get there, but I want to make profit on ATER and not just break even. I want to sell at 30 plus. Yeah, I mean, I think all of us would love this stock to be at 30 plus. I mean, that's without saying. I mean, it's all going to really just break down to, how much are people interested in this? And when we get volume, this stock flies in both direct. Well, I was going to say mainly the positive direction. When volume dies down on it, just like for pretty much any stock, you're basically then going against the algorithm that usually wins, because unless you have constant buying pressure that's offsetting the algo, you're basically just fighting a losing war, because they flash up like these has anyone seen these? It's called spoofing, and what ends up happening is they throw up a large sell order. It makes the price action freak out, so they think there's a huge selling spree happening, and so it basically tricks the computer into driving the price down without actually selling off any shares. Like they might sell like a 200 shares and then they pull the order, but it has the effect on low volume. When you do stuff like that, it can drive down the price significantly. So that's what spoofing is, and that's why it's illegal, but they do it all the time, so that's pretty normal. But yeah, we're going to see. We're going to see what happens this week, and then I'm going to do my best to really stay on top of it and stream each night, so we can go from there. It seems like the longs get screwed these days. I brought Tilray at 15 last year. All it does seem to do is drop. Yeah, so anything that's a retail favorite, Dave, is getting beat down, and this is across the board, because I have a theory that they needed retail to sell. It's kind of like Tesla back in the day. Like they needed those shares, and retail was being a pain in the ass about it. So, what do? They just keep driving down the price, and so they're trying to basically scare retail out into taking losses. And if they can't do it, then eventually what happens is when they go to cover, the stock flies. But, this is across the board. Like, they've been shorting GameStop. They've been shorting AMC, Costs, BBBY, Nokia even. Like, anything that retail liked, they basically said, we're going to take the other side of this. And then they're just hammering these things down. And then, eventually some people will, sell. Other people will just remain to average down, and it's now creating a huge problem, which I think will all at some point come to a head. I don't know if it's this upcoming week. I've heard people rumoring that this week is MOAS week for all the meme stocks. I don't know. I mean, I don't put dates on anything. I learned a long time ago with GameStop that if you put a date on something, you're going to get disappointed. So for me, yeah, this is a great little gamer ramp that looks pretty, but it doesn't change fundamentally how I think this stock goes, which is they're undervalued, and if you're long on them, you will eventually make money if you hold on to them long enough, because we have, what's the short interest right now, roughly? Like I came up, I think, with around 50%, roughly. All right, let's take a look real quick. All right. Yeah, Ortex is reporting 39%, but they're also not updated with, they don't have Renaissance in their calculation, I think, for, let's see, insiders, peers, where is their ownership? All right, let's see. So I don't see that, interestingly enough. Where is... So what I'm looking for right now on Opex, I'm trying to find out where they have. Oh, it's under holders. Okay. Yeah. So the largest holders right now for this stock are Armis Capital, which is the private placement. They own 14.43 million shares. Then you've got Vanguard, which owns 2.28 million shares. You've got MV2 LLC, who owns 2.12. You got BlackRock. I'll just screenshot it. Hold on a second. That way I don't have to keep saying how many. All right, I can not be lazy, I guess. We'll add it up. Give me a second. All right, here we go. We gotta zoom in. Okay. So, hopefully you guys can see that. We'll get out a calculator here. All right. So, 2.28 plus. No, I had to do something wrong. Hold on. That doesn't make sense. 2.28. Must not have cleared. 2.28 plus 2.12 plus 1. Oops. 1.88 plus 0.77 plus 7. Nope. Alright, what do we got there? So that's 8.505 million shares. Let me see their smaller ones now. Give me a second. Let me just write that down. It's 8.05. So we're going to have to compare this against Fintel as well. So, and the other thing that I needed to find out is how many are left after the private placement. Yeah, sorry about that. So if you adjust your I guess, quality, yeah, you should be able to see some of these. I'll zoom out a little bit so hopefully you can see that. But right here, this is the number of, or the things we're looking at, which is these are the amount of shares they're holding, at least according to Ortex. Now I went through Fintel, and Fintel's numbers were slightly different. Let's see how they look real quick. Aterian. All right, so ownership. Let's take a look real quick. Institutional owners. So they were calculating things slightly differently. So it looks like they did change slightly lower than they were when I posted the DD, because I think I used different numbers, if I remember correctly, on Friday. So they must have had some things settle. So let me see where those are. Because I think the number was like 13 million for institutions. So let's pull up real quick. Here we go. Yeah, so they had 13.223 million. And now they're reporting 12.9. So it changed about 0.3, like 0.34, something like that. Yeah, if you look right here, this is what the institutional ownership was, and this is what it is now. So that's a difference of 13,165,261 minus 12,94,25. 200,000 shares, 211,000 shares. That's the difference right now between the stuff on Friday and where they settled out. And we'll be able to nail those numbers down, because I think they should be finishing up reporting. I think might be able to see it settle out on Monday, but not a huge difference. Now, if you look at what Ortex was saying, let's see what Ortex is reporting though. Do they give you a total? Because that would be handy if they did. Of course they don't. Ortex, you gotta step up your game. You gotta put what all these numbers add up to. So, I guess we can add them up ourselves. Alright. So we got down to the geode capital. So that was 8.05. So we have two ways that we can do this. We can say 3.5, or not even that. We're just doing. Sorry, I'm just adding all this stuff up. Alright. So, I'm just going to show you guys what I'm doing so you guys can watch me and make sure I'm doing it right, because I'm tired. May have to just do this tomorrow, but we'll take the 3.5 million. Alright, the last one was the 1.16. Let me try the 102 700. Alright, getting closer. Alright, so we're getting pretty close here to the end. I don't know why this is... Oh, because you know what? Some of these are... Yeah, so that's... We can't add them up that way. I just realized. So they have last changed. So some of these are outdated. So it's not like an accurate, like... Well, it could be, but that's still a little bit higher than what I had seen, which is these guys reporting only 12.9, which is basically like 13 million shares for institutional ownership between. But when I'm adding up the actual 13Fs off of Ortex, they're higher. So I don't know why that would be, because that shows 19 million off the 13Fs. Like, and I haven't even finished. Like, it could be close to 20. Yeah, it looks like it was close to probably 20 something million. And let me see what unusual whale says. Not unusual. Whale wisdom. All right, let's see what they say. So they're saying, let's compare it against these guys. So, owners, institutional owners. All right, let's sort by shares. All right, so there, Unusual Whales is claiming 2.2. Yeah, so that looks right. What's the date reported? The 13th. Is that right? Yep, right there. Unusual Whales actually has them slightly higher. They have 2.279. So they added another, looks like 40,000, or sorry, no, 40K shares. Let's see BlackRock. BlackRock is the same number that's been, and that was updated in March, I think. And they haven't touched it since then. Renaissance, though. Renaissance right here, 1.77. That's the same. Let's see. This Vanguard total. So that's a mutual fund. So that's not included in here. They have that in a separate section on. All right. So Susquehanna has a call there. Then. Yep, there's that call. And then this. That's the same. Geode Capital is the same. The Russell. What is this one? I don't see that one. Oh, there it is. 404. Yep. Now, State Street. Where's State Street? They're here. State Street is the same. Yeah, that should be fine. So I'm comparing basically Unusual Whale, or not, Whale Wisdom to what we have on Fintel, and it looks pretty much the same. I just don't know why the numbers that are reporting are different than the ones if you actually add them up, because I think I did this before. It's probably because they're including calls and puts, which you don't include. So let's see. What's up, Howard? Long and strong. Can't stop buying. 20K shares at 410 average. Tell me how we win this war soon. Yeah, so basically what's going to end up happening, this week is going to be really interesting, especially tomorrow and the next day, because that's kind of, because, like, what I see happening is this. You already can tell that we started moving up on Friday. Like, this right here, they're attempting to start flattening this out and start moving the MACD back over on the daily. You can already tell on the stochastic here, if you actually zoom in, but look how like oversold it is right now. Like, we are completely oversold. Like, look at the stochastic. We are now crossing over here and heading back over towards like neutral, which is in this area. And it's obviously going to be in a bullish divergence that this is happening. So that's going to happen. Eventually, the MACD will do the same thing. And what I think is going to happen is, the price should start moving back up. So, patience is needed. It's, if you're looking and you're going to, get scared of how the price is going to move, like, it could fly up Monday morning. Who knows? It also could, get hit down if the entire market's tanking. There's a lot of variables that I don't think anyone's, seen before, which is, not many things squeeze during an entire market crash. Now, GameStop, the previous year it had a negative beta. So did I think AMC and a couple other stocks, and they were usually meme stocks, which means that typically when you have a beta, it means that it does the opposite of what the market does. So like if the market right now, like it's something that basically like an Apple has a very, very high beta because it basically is the market. When Apple, Amazon, all those ones like tank, the entire market tanks. So they have betas that are very, very high. Now, if you have a negative beta, what that is basically it's the inverse. It means that when the market's crashing, you actually go up. So like UVXY, SP, what was it? SPXU, like certain inverse ETFs, stuff like that. They're the ones that have negative betas typically because when the entire market's crashing, those ones are the ones that go up. Interestingly enough, meme stocks got thrown in that somehow, and I don't quite know how to like put it all together because you keep seeing it happen. Like GameStop, AMC, even us, we all run together, and we have been getting these like almost identical charts at times, and it's like obviously it's controlled by an algorithm, and somebody's very powerful is controlling those. How do we win? You just have to stay patient. Like, and at some point, like we're gonna be able to prove that we own the entire float on this stock, and if they let it run, then yeah, I would imagine they don't have to deal with that. But if not, then there's plenty of other things that can happen. At this point right now, no one's DRS their shares, and I know people are like, oh well, listen, if you don't want to sell down in the $2-3 range, then this is not financial advice. You don't have to go do this, but I'm saying like, if people want to put the stock in their own name, there's nothing wrong with that. That's how a lot of people invest, at least how people used to invest before brokers basically, made things super convenient for you. But like my grandfather had computer share and he had every stock in his own name. Okay, Ficity's going to pull out some terminal numbers, and that's stuff we can probably use for tomorrow. I'm not planning on being on all night kind of researching with you guys, but what I can do at least for right now is we can start prepping for tomorrow because that's going to be a very important day because I think, how the options chains go off the bat, like if things are just getting absolutely bought up, then the stock's going to rise in price. Yeah, it's going to set the tone for the rest of the week. But what can I tell? The same moves are happening with a few tickers. What's up, Travis? What's up, Goat? Brian, what is this? I don't know what you're referring to, but I would imagine probably either porn bots or we've been looking up some of the filings. So I'll try to get a better picture of what's going on tomorrow. But what I can tell you right now is institutional ownership has picked up. So that's higher than it was previously. So that's good. And then what I'd like to start seeing eventually is, I want to see what options are they going to start with the out of the money options first and try to get those absolutely loaded while they're cheap, and then the last step is to start slapping the ask and stacking up some in the money calls. Who knows how they're going to do it? We have a hard enough time knowing what's going to go on the next day, let alone for an entire week, especially one that's got a huge amount of short interest going on. I mean, 15% is a high amount of short interest, and I think we showed that Aterian right now was 40% is what they claim. I think that number is actually higher, to be honest with you. I did speak at least, or I wrote investor relations to try to get some numbers cleared up, and I will try to get with you guys and write something up, or at least let the Discord know when I get in on Monday, because I've got to go back and take a look at some of their placement numbers, because obviously that's going to affect the free float. So I asked them, I said, we noticed that your shares outstanding went from 50 million to 55 million on the last thing, but obviously you guys have the private placement, so how does this all fit together? And what I saw was, let me just see, everything looks good. Yep. And then utilization still has at 100%. The securities lending volume is still very, very high. Threshold looks like we just came off of it, and that's actually not that big of a deal. It will go back on it if there's an increase in volume. It will just take 5 days, and then we'll just be right back on it. And I think I showed you guys the other week, for anyone that was getting nervous, oh, is this over because we're not on Reg Sho? No, absolutely not. I think I showed the example. Let me just pull it up real quick for you guys. Let's take a look real quick and pull up AMC. So just to show you, here's AMC, right? Every one of these green bars is Reg Sho. You see how many times they were on it? And the stock was going down at this point, and they were on Reg Sho. These are FTDs, and they have orange bars right here. And then look how many times they went on Reg Sho. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 before they ran, and then 8 while they ran. So 8 times they were on and off Reg Sho. So it does not mean that something's over just because they hit Reg Sho. Here's GameStop. Just to show you, there was nothing going on here. There were FTDs piling up all around this. They went on Reg Sho, and then they went days not on Reg Sho, even though the FTDs were still piled up. I don't know how that worked. Then they went back on here, and still they haven't ran up yet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 was the long period of time where they were on Reg Sho. And they still had FTDs. So I'm just showing you guys, just because we're off Reg Sho does not mean this is over. These things went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times before GameStop ran up. And then I showed you on AMC, it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times before it ran up on the other one. So Reg Sho, not a huge deal. they basically found some way to reset some FTDs. It could be a mixture of retail selling off, mixed with institutions buying in, which so they had access to new shares that they just used to reset FTD. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do that they can weasel their way out of. But what you're going to end up seeing is, as long as everyone's interested in this stock, it's going to keep going on and off of it, just like those particular stocks did. And eventually it will make its big move up. So, let's see. So Terminal has Toots owning 29 million. Yeah, and that's about what the 13Fs added up to. Now, if you look at Fintel and Ortex, both of them are only reporting institutional ownership at like 13 million or 12 million. So something's going on there, and I need to kind of get deeper into it, because the fact is that you said that those are adding up to 29 million. If it's 29 million, then something's very, very wrong. Let me see. Let me just take a look real quick. All right. SWC, thanks so much for that. I appreciate it. That's the number we're going to be hitting, so that'd be good stuff. All right, let me see. Sorry, get to it later. People have questions about different things. All right, so here we go. Yeah, GameStop came off Reg Sho right before it ran in 2021. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Reg Sho, not that big of a deal. We already know they have problems with FTDs, and so did both of these. Last time I'll do it, but I'm just showing you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times on AMC before it actually ran up. It went on and off Reg Sho 7 times, and then it hit one more time after it already ran up. GameStop, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 before it ran up to, that huge, like 500 a share or whatever it was. These things go on and off, and they find different ways of resetting them, temporarily, but the long run, there's something going on with the stock, and people know it. Hey-o, not sure if you're talking. Is my mic off again? All right, let me make sure my mic's not off. Hold on a second. All right, can you guys... Yeah, my mic's showing it's talking. I should be fine. I paused Pornhub for this. Let's get those tendies. What's up, Joel? What's up, Overminding? What's up, Shameful? Can you talk about the overall market and whether we hold SQQ for a few months would be a good move? Yeah, I mean, so once again, I don't give financial advice. I can just, I can just at least tell you guys that from what I saw, I think that there's going to be a problem in the market overall for a while. I think we're going to head into a recession. I think the stock market will eventually take a nice large leap down and cover. So if you look at gaps on the SPY, let's see. Obviously, this is a little bit off topic, but I'm just showing you guys something. So if we go, we're on the daily, right? So look where we are. Like, we had that nice run up, but right around, I guess it was, let's see, so this right here, when we just went absolutely nuts. Yeah, it was around here. This area right here, we gapped up like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 7 days in a row, something like that. So there were like gaps in here, pretty large ones down at the 350s on the S&P, and I think they fill those pretty soon. Obviously, we ran all the way up to 480 basically. Now here is the 350s. We are not that far off from what I would say is my target long term. So, I don't know if we'll go past that point and fill some of the lower gaps, but I do know that this, from up here down to here, we're having right here a little bit of this thing's not going to go straight down. Like, it never does. But, like, obviously we're in a downtrend right now. Until we break out of this downtrend, we're not going to see anything else. So I think right now we got close to oversold. It's going to recover a little bit, right? We had these two, they burned a bunch of people that were, like, shorting the market or, all these, bearish puts. So that's what these last 2 days were. But we also, I don't think long term we're going to be heading back into the 480s. Like, I think you're more likely to see 350s before we see 480s again, because that would be a hell of a rally, and it would have to be predicated on something, and there's not enough good news in my opinion. Like, we are still in a very, very rough spot in the world, and so you've got quantitative tightening happening, you have rate hikes, you have so all these things are not like going to be, obviously great. So are you opening a position into this looming recession? Yeah. So, I've been playing some SPXU for anyone that doesn't know what that is. Once again, this is not financial advice. I'm just telling you guys, I think it's a 3x. Yeah, I think it's a 3x, like bearish, stock. So basically, it's not for everyone. I wouldn't. I usually use it to swing if I think there's downside, but you can also buy long. But you better hope that this thing goes down fast, because it's meant to be a shorter term. Like, you're not supposed to hold it for a long period of time. But it's a leveraged bearish fund, and so what happens is when this goes down, the other one goes up. And so let me just show you guys. Like I said, I've been playing it from here up, and then some in here too. Obviously, it hit the highs up here. I sold around this area, and then I'll buy back in once it dips down into this area again. Because I think long term, it just needs to cool off. So that's what's probably going to happen in the market. You'll see some cooling off, or in this case, the SPY will go up a little bit, and then I think they rug pull and they go back down. So we'll see. But that's one that I'm, looking at. World War III could break out. There's all sorts of things that are not great right now. So, but. We'll go back to Aterian, but I just want to tell people, we could very well get hammered down again if the stock market's crashing, because you saw what happened. This is like a huge amount of bleeding of the S&P. Look at the SPY one more time. We'll pull up the daily chart of the SPY. Look at that. Look at daily chart of Aterian. Same thing. Like, we're going down. We're following the major indexes. Like, What's IWM look like? That's IWM. That's, the small cap stocks. We're in the IWM. We're following along, but we had earnings also, which they hammered down on. So, and it wasn't even that bad of a miss. Like it was like 0.5 or something like that, less than 1% miss on revenue, and they just hammered this thing. But it gave people an opportunity. Like if you bought down here, that's been pretty good so far. And if they hammer it down again, I think eventually what you'll see is retail locks up a lot of the stuff down in this range. I mean, it just, the lower the price goes, the more power retail has. And that's the scary thing for the shorts, because, if retail starts loading down here, it doesn't matter if they're buying only, couple hundred to 1,000 shares. There's more and more of them, each day. The longer this goes on, the worse it gets. And that's kind of what happened, I think, with GameStop. Was you had a long period of time where the stock was really like low, and then they literally had to get the stock to run to get people out of the stock. And some people didn't come out, and so they're still holding. And I've showed you guys divergences on the I'm not going to pull up Thinkorswim right now, but I showed you guys money flow, OPV. It looks like the money flows in and never flows out, and that's the truth of it. You can't really do anything when every other stock looks normal, and then only the meme stocks all look exactly the same. Like that's what tells you that something's wrong with the system and what's going on here. It's a 3x inverse. Just reading through some people's stuff. But yeah. Besides that, though, what I'll do is this. I'll leave us with some kind of like thoughts, and then we'll kind of... I'll be diving into stuff tomorrow. When I get to work, my whole goal is just going to be doing nothing but research, and, I'll try to put in a little bit of time after, I stopped the stream, but I know everyone at least wanted to hear what's going on. So I showed you guys Reg Sho. It doesn't matter that much. GameStop, AMC, Aterian, all of us have been on it before, and we move up regardless of that. We'll also get some of the FTDs. My guess is the FTDs will have gone down from the peak, and I'm expecting that. But I think they're going to rise again on a later cycle, because what's going to end up happening is they were able to probably reset ones when the stock ran up, but it's going to get really interesting when as the price is still down here in these low levels. Retail can afford a lot of them, and I think we're going to see some movement on the stock one way or the other, and it will probably, they're going to try to pin it down here, but I don't know if they're going to be able to. So let's see. Lots of porn bots tonight. All right, so if you can like and subscribe, that's what I was told to tell everyone. We're doing here. Let's see. It's all right. Pulling up right now. All the filings, we're going to have to go through them. And I'll ask for some help in the Discord too, because, I'm just getting back into this, and maybe some people have already done this. But yeah, the FTD should be interesting tomorrow, because we're going to see basically the run up, which is this portion right here, because we should see from basically the 16th, I think, or was it 18th? Through the 1st, which is right here, the 29th. So we're going to see basically the peak of this run-up, and then we're going to see here where we already went down and then back up. So that's what we should see for this, next group of FTDs. And then my guess is it probably lowers down in this range, and then once it gets down here, it will start rising again. over $10 would, yeah, I mean, the ramps there, it can run to 10, no problem. It's just a matter of filling it in and then making sure it does run. But that's all sitting there for everyone. So where's that? You know, we showed this, and I think the better one to view was, let me see if I can pull up these ones. I mean, there you go. There's a lot of bullish open interest. We showed you here. Like, especially the 750, that's very, very bullish, and the $5 is pretty darn bullish too. So, would I consider selling $4 puts to be relatively safe this week? David, that's a very, very interesting thing, because basically it creates a line in the sand, that you say that I am fine buying anything below this point. I still think that this is relatively like a good place to be buying, in my personal opinion. Like I was thinking about selling some puts down here, because I think if you were to, if you look at, we'll see what it opens up on, tomorrow, but I cannot obviously tell you, financial advice. This is what you should do. I think it's very interesting because that's a decent amount of premium that you could collect based off of where it starts out. And those could be very, very interesting, because if it falls below that point, which right now it would be, it creates a line in the sand that they say, okay, if the stock is below, if it's still 350 at the end of the week, they have to provide those shares because you promise basically to buy them. So they do have to actually provide shares to you, because that's what the contract says. So if the stock ends up at 350 or 3, yeah, you'll lose a little bit off the bat. But if you're fine being long on the stock, then that's not too big of a deal, and you did collect the premium too. And then if the stock runs the following week or a month from now, you'll be fine. So, but $4 would basically give you a decent amount of premium, but also draw a line in the sand that said that, okay, if every single, if there was a bunch of people that were selling $4 calls, which is bullish, that would basically say, we're fine buying the stock anything under this price, and then, collecting that premium. So, would they be safe? I mean, it all depends on, how this goes, but it could be a very profitable trade. I'm not going to be able to tell you yes or no. I'm just saying I have been looking at that as well, like 350 or 4, and I'm trying to debate which one. But I mean, 4, obviously that premium looks nice, and we'll see what it opens up on Monday morning and tomorrow morning. And so I'm with you though, Dave. I think those are very interesting things to be maybe selling some puts, which is once again bullish. If you sell a put, it's bullish. If you buy a put, it's bearish. The inverse goes for the other side. If you buy a call, it's bullish, and then if you sell a call, it's bearish. Hopefully I said that right. I am tired, but I sold a $4 put 2 weeks ago and then bought it back for a loss, but I just bought shares instead. Yeah, and you can do that too. Obviously, when you sell a put, things can go the other way if they go down, but as long as you're fine owning those shares and being long on it, you're fine, because most people are selling cash secure puts, which means that you have enough money for it. And I don't think the stock will be down here at $2 to $3 forever. So if you're long on Aterian, I think it's a fine thing, and you can collect some premium in the meantime. But once again, that's not financial advice. That's just a guy talking on the internet about a stock. All right, so I'm going to get off. I'm just seeing the time. It's coming up on 11. I want to get as much, I want I get as much sleep as I can because I do want to dive into the office as soon as I can tomorrow because I want to get like all this stuff in front of me, crunch numbers, and come out with some solid DD that's going to update us on the new 13Fs, the new all this information. But yeah, if anyone's freaking about Reg Sho, do not. It's not that big of a deal, and I showed you multiple different stocks, and I can probably even provide more that have gone on Reg Sho multiple times before they actually ran up. So all right, you guys have a wonderful evening. If you can drop a like, that would be awesome. And then I'm not even going to bother. If you want to join the Discord, I'm sure somebody could link that in there. I can probably just do it real quick. I do have a Patreon if anyone's interested. Right now, I'm more concentrated on, obviously, the stock and trying to see what goes on with it. But in the future, it would be nice to be able to stream for people during the day. I guess I can throw that in here if I can find. I think last time I looked, I couldn't find the way of like sharing it. A simpler Patreon experience is here. We're launching a significant update to Patreon's design. Show me around. Okay. If you want to make edits, find relevant information, insights, and seamlessly switch. That's right, because I couldn't figure out how to look at my own. Let me try switching. Maybe I can pull up. Yeah, I don't know how to use this. They had something that was really easy to share and like. Here we go. I found it. Let's see. Let's see if this actually works. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Nifty. Appreciate it. Took me forever to figure out. Yeah, but he's already got me, so appreciate that. But yeah, I'm going to get as much sleep as I can. I will go ahead and just start whacking that on it's probably a bad word, way of phrasing it. I will start diving right into the all this information because we've gotten access to Bloomberg because Fish has been able to kind of provide us with Bloomberg terminal from his college, and that's awesome because that's information we didn't have before. We're now comparing it against Fintel and Ortex and a couple other larger sites, and what we're finding is whack it. Sorry, brain fart. All right, well. I'm getting tired, so you guys have a wonderful evening. Hopefully you enjoyed your weekend. Hopefully we'll all be, coming in tomorrow bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to trade and hopefully make lots of money. And let's see how this all goes. But yeah, this is going to be a fun, exciting week. Hopefully it goes well for us. And if not, I'll be here every day talking to you about it anyway. So, all right. Much love, guys. Have a great week.